Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Lifestyle. I'm Zainab with other sisters. As usual, we're going to have different segments. We'll be continuing our discussion on child training, and today we'll see if Islam has some recommendations regarding the number of children we're going to have or the siblings we want to have. But before that, let's go to the kitchen to see what Sister Fatima has.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Once again, thank you very much for joining us on Lifestyle today. We are going to be doing a very popular Middle Eastern dish, Syrian, Lebanese. I guess it's more Syrian. We are going to be fatayr, and it's going to be with spinach. So once again, it's a vegetarian meal, and hopefully those of our friends who are looking for meatless options are going to have that tonight.
Yeah, vegetarian or vegan?
Vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Because it has. We're going to be using some egg and milk in it, so it's not vegan.
Thank you very much.
We don't believe in the vegetarian concept anyway. We believe in health.
Thank you so much. Sister Nasrin, go ahead. You have already started anyway.
I'm under duress. Well, we're going to have, as Sister said, that we're going to have a discussion about marriage and child rearing and training and all these things. So we're going to also have some ahkam questions for you, as usual. And I'm going to put my 2 cents in that come from the audience too, the viewers. And we're just generally going to have a good discussion here. So please stay with us with your coffee or herb tea and don't go away.
Thank you so much. And actually, we always forget to appreciate the columnists we have, actually, or the panelists, the people who are going to answer the questions of ahkam. So we are really grateful and we think about them because they are not in the studio. Thank you so much. So let's start our show. And Sister Razia. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you today?
Alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Actually, we talked about the child braining and recommendation of Islam. And we said that having some children is desirable in Islam.
Mm-hmm.
But and on the other hand, we call them baqiyatus salihat, which means a reward or a virtue that is going to be remained even after our death. But is it going to be sort of baqiyatus salihat for any kind of child? I mean, or the kind of child matters?
Very good question. Well, I would like to extend my salams and blessings, first of all, to the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi, Ajalallah Ta'ala Farjah Sharif. And may our struggles and our efforts be accepted by him, and may these help us to elevate to a higher spiritual level.
Inshallah.
And my salams also to the members of this house. Assalamu alaikum, ladies.
Alaikum salam.
And to our dear audience who are watching us wherever they are in the world. And then I would like to start with this beautiful verse, hoping that this would help us have a better program. Allahumma shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. For those who are wondering what this means, it was a prayer of Prophet Moses, alayhi salam, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was going towards his people. He said, "O Allah, spread my breast, make me be patient, tolerate the difficulties that I'm going to face. Allahumma shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Make my affairs easy for me. Wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani means loosen the knot on my tongue so that I can speak in a way that my people would understand me. So that yafqahu qawli means so that they would be able to, so that they could understand me. I can convey my message." So. Previously, in our previous program, we were talking about all these Quranic evidences, the ayahs and the ahadith that we have that encourages Muslims, especially the Shiites, the true followers of the Ahlul Bayt, the true followers of the noble Prophet ﷺ, to have kids.
Yes.
As the noble Prophet said, I would be proud of my ummah, that the great number of my ummah on the Day of Judgment before the other prophets, because of the greatness of the number of my ummah. There's so many numerous hadith, and they're like beautiful Quranic du'as from our prophets that they pray to Allah to give them kids, and not any kind of kid, but a virtuous kid, so that they would become a source of the joy of their eyes.
I
So
see.
that by, this means that they're praying for kids that they would become virtuous and salih, and they would be servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by this, the parent, upon looking at the child, he would be gladdened. He would feel a sense of joy because he sees that in his mission of guiding his future generation to righteousness, he has been successful. Because the process of child education in Islam is a process of it's a purposeful, multidimensional, and continuous process. Okay? Inshallah, we'll talk about the details. But as for the Quranic evidences about children, well, at the time of the noble prophet, at the beginning of Islam, even long before that, many people thought that the more wealth that they have, the more children that they have, the happier they are. And that some even believed that the chastisement of God would be away from them because of the number of their children and their wealth. In response to the people who had this claim, a beautiful verse came. This is in chapter Saba, verse number 37, that says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما أموالكم ولا أولادكم بالتي تقربكم عندنا زلفى إلا من آمن وعمل صالحا فأولئك لهم جزاء الضعف بما عملوا وهم في الغرفات الآمنون.
What does that mean?
It means that it's not your wealth and it's not your offspring, not your children that would drive you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By themselves, the mere having merely having children or wealth is not a means to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's your iman. It's your true faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This gives us the key, the golden key to life. It's it gives us like a torch. It gives us a nice light through which we can have, these are very simple words. You might say, like, it's so obvious,
Yeah.
But in the high speed of our lives, we get to really forget, and that's why Quran is a dhikr. It's a remembrance of the truth. So sometimes sometimes these seemingly trivial or simple ideas can really make a difference in life.
I see.
To your prosperity, felicity, or to your destruction, spiritual destruction.
Definitely.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it's your iman, it's your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's in the belief of whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to mankind through all the prophets and through the imams as the continuation of the prophets. And after that, your righteous deeds.
Yes, definitely, that's true. But on the other hand, we are talking about the number of children, all right? So imagine that we have two options, like having one child or two or 6 or 7 children, and you are able to have like 7 children. Will you go for 7, or you will stick to 2 or 3 at most?
Okay, so
Do we have any verses like that?
Was that a
Quran?
convincing
No.
answer? Because I have so much more to offer
All right.
in that regard.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
so you
ahead.
wanna
Yes, please.
continue with
Yes.
that
I
topic?
want to jump in right now. Before Sister Zainab takes it to the next level,
Yeah.
this idea that you said, not idea, it was from the Quran about the iman. Because I think there's a difference between having the children, and then children really can make you go towards materialism, because when the pregnancy comes, okay, it's the clothes, it's the bedroom, it's the cute little things, it's all this, and actually that's a time where the Quran is so vital, because Quran creates the child. There's this time when all this building, and we don't realize how much goes in, the connection of the Quran and these ziyaras to the child. And also, before I go off the track, the difference between centering your life around, with the center point being Allah and everything else being connected to that, rather than having the two together. Living your life and then bringing Islam in. And I think, I don't know, when you read that verse, that was when you translated it, that was what came to me.
Exactly.
The difference of, okay, having the children, no, it's not just having the children, it's the putting yourself in faith constantly, not it's nice to remember it, because exactly that energy is going to be transmitted to those children. Those children will put up your that subconscious connection you have. That's what they're not going to pick up the words if the subconscious connection isn't there.
Yeah.
They're going to call you a hypocrite. They won't follow it. They won't say you're a hypocrite, Mum, but they will. You will see the effects of like, why isn't he coming? I'm doing all this because you're not yourself. Your heart isn't connected to it. All these activities and the Dua Kamel and all these are, but the Iman is exactly being in the state of Tawheed, feeling that, everything is from Allah. The children are from Allah, And I think that's what I got, at least, from that verse.
Very beautiful.
Yes.
So anyway, that was my...
Thank you
Very
so much. But
beautiful.
I think Sister Fatima is waiting to talk about the ingredients. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, you're ready. Go ahead.
Today we're going to be doing some multitasking. I'm just going to start with the herbal drink today. So it actually came to Sister Zainab's rescue too because she was coughing.
Yes,
This
thank
is
you
Mallow.
so much.
You're welcome. This is Mallow tree, so if the camera could show it. This is mallow plant. It's purple, and when you actually add water to it, it turns into a really, really sort of electric purple. It's a very interesting
bluish, isn't it?
Bluish,
It's
yeah.
First,
blue.
it's bluish,
It
yeah,
looks
I
like
And
know,
then
but
it-
the color changes.
It turns into
little by
purple.
little.
color. So
Yeah.
this is this mallow
Turns into
plant is
brown.
actually really
Yeah.
good for coughs. It increases the milk supply
look
of
at that
mothers.
colour, it's so...
Look at that color.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
beautiful.
Cool, eh?
But it will turn into this one, like
Yeah, it's
sort
gonna
of
change.
brown, brownish.
And it smells
Yeah,
very
that's
nice. So it's actually it
Yeah, it
increases
smells like it's good for the throat.
Yeah.
For cold.
it
yeah.
increases the flow of milk. It's actually really good if you have like a burn. If you use this with olive oil, it's really good to apply it on burning that you get from fire. And there's actually lots of cool information about mallow online, so I suggest you read it and you make it and you enjoy it. So let's
And
we
you
have
treat your burns, and you keep some next to you when if you have children, because that's really.
Ouch.
I had
think I need
a neighbor once, and she always her son was always burning himself, so she would always come over to my house and get the lavender,
Oh,
because the lavender's for so
Yeah.
if you got a child, keep
Okay.
it near you. Yeah.
so I'm gonna get started with the filling first. As I said, we're gonna be doing fatair today, spinach fatair, and it's actually a very filling and rich food, and it's very popular. I've done a dough before on like for the garlic bread, but today I'm gonna be doing a little bit different dough. It's almost the same. It's just a little different. You can still use that one. I'm really comfortable with using that for anything that like requires a dough. But I'm going to be doing another version of dough today. So before
Good.
we start with the dough, I'm going to start with the filling, okay? So I'm going to actually, I have my copper pan and it's heated. So I'm just going to add like 1 or 2 tablespoons of good quality olive oil. And then I'm going to start by adding my 1 onion that I've actually chopped. So it's actually better if you if you chop it finely, if you chine it softly, I wanted to say. If you chop it finely, so it's actually smaller. We don't want to deep fry this or anything. We just want to make it nice and light, okay? So this is gonna cook for about 5 minutes. And then to this, we are going to add our green onions. We have 3 green onions that we've chopped. We actually need the ends as well. So that's gonna go inside with the onion.
And you could put garlic in at this point, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Since we have the parsley,
Yeah.
so we're not going to have to worry about the smell.
Yeah. But I won't be using garlic today. I'm going to keep the traditional.
She had to put the the energy down.
All right. One of the main ingredients that we're going to be using for fatair, for the spinach fatair, is sumac. And I just brought this to show it to you. It's actually a very beautiful plant. I think it grows. So these little sort of pieces, these little balls, they're actually the sumac, and inside it, there's a seed, which is quite hard. So when you buy sumac, it's actually ground. So you have to make sure that you take this one out, yeah? So here I've taken out all of the seeds, and I have the shells sort of here, right? And you have to sort of make it into a powder. Now this fatair is a rather savory one. We're going to be using lemon juice and sumac in it. If you don't like savory, if you don't like it too like lemony, I don't like food that is too lemony or savory. I mean savory as in not in salty, but like acidic. I don't like acidic food, so you can actually sort of adapt that to your liking, your lemon and your sumac. Now I'm going to start with the dough while my onion is frying. Okay, so we have 5 cups of flour, and I've taken away 3 cups. I'll tell you why. So here I have 2 cups of flour, as usual. I use 4 and 3/4 cups of flour and 1/4 cups of bran. I've actually added that in here. I have 1 tablespoon of yeast that I'm going to add to here. I have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar that I'm also going to add in here. Okay, now remember, we should be very careful when we're using our yeast that it should not come in contact with salt, because it's going to deactivate our yeast. All right, we don't want that to happen. I have 1 cup of whole milk, warm whole milk, and 1 cup of warm water. I'm going to add that. If you don't have milk, okay, it's totally fine. You can go ahead and use water, 2 cups of water in here. So we're going to add this here, and we're going to sort of mix it. We have a sort of like a pancake mixture here.
When I was in Lebanon, actually, people used corn flour. Or it wasn't flour, actually. They called it
cornmeal?
balqour. They called the Arabs in Lebanon.
Balqour?
Yeah,
Balqour is
balqour.
different.
Something else.
Yeah.
That is the wheat. That's
It wasn't. It was corn. They call it corn balqour.
corn.
But it
balqour. I
wasn't
don't
very
know that one.
soft, like
Yeah, it's what they
sort
put
of-
into tabbouleh.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
that's wheat. Yeah.
This is, we're going to be making a dough, so you can't use balqour in dough. Okay, we have 1/3 of a cup of good quality olive oil that I'm going to add to that. You can make it 1/4 of a cup. It's okay, but it's good stuff, so why use less? So I'm just going to mix this, okay? And then when it's all combined, I am going to add my... Oh, and the yeast that I was using, it's actually instant yeast, okay? So it's actually going to activate. I risked and I didn't prove it. I know I told you that I always proof my yeast, but today I just trusted the fact that it's an instant yeast. Here I have 1 teaspoon of salt. You can use less or more to your liking. And remember the kind of salt that you use, okay? If you're using sea salt, it's definitely saltier, so you have to adjust that. And 1 tablespoon of wheat germ, which is going to go in here. So we are going to mix this, and then it's going to rest for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and start adding my the rest of my 3 cups, and then I'm going to start kneading it. Meanwhile, I'll go to the filling. That's all for now.
Okay, thank you so
And
much.
Sorry, I want to add something about the lemon and the olive oil. Actually, if you use olive oil and you use lemon, it's a blood purifier. It really cleans you. And all the other things that you're using today, such as the sumac, right? It is a blood purifier. The nigella seeds, the blood purifiers. In fact, they're even radiation. Anything that is toxin from the environment, pollution, it purifies that. It takes it right out. It's good, really good for prevention of cancer. And the jafari or the parsley.
Parsley.
also it's a purifier too. So
Uh,
all these things
I
are
just wanted to
really
add
healthy,
something.
you know, and recommended to eat regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a good way to do it, you know, especially for children if you want to them. I
Looks
always
like pizza.
bung the spinach in my, you know, yogurt or something.
Yeah.
Now I got you, the children. And they love these kind of things. So, yeah.
So we are going to be using spinach. I'm using
Baby spinach.
no, actually, they're not baby spinaches. They're like normal spinach.
Well,
They're
no.
organic spinach.
They're in spinach.
And you have the option of using frozen spinach, but like I said, do not go for that. I mean, this plant is so thin and tangible, and you know, like just in itself when it's fresh. So imagine this being stored for a month or 2 months or 3 months in the freezer. There is no nutritious part left to it. So please use fresh.
It's really tempting in the West, no? Because
Everything is frozen.
It's so easy and so
Yeah.
small packet and cheap and
But here in Iran,
No
like
work.
something that I love about here is that you have all these small vegetable shop corners that they clean them, wash them, and they're ready, you know, like you can have them easily every day. So we're using about 600 grams of raw spinach, and when it's cooked, it's going to be about 2 cups, okay? So remember that we want all of the water or the juice of the spinach to be vaporized. We do not want a sort of leaky mixture because then it's going to actually leak out of our fatair. So I've actually cooked that, and then you can use scissors to sort of like chop them so they're not so big, and that's it.
Thank you, sister.
welcome.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go back to the number of children, or the kind of children. Actually, you were talking about the virtuous children and the verses in Quran. Go ahead,
Yep.
sister.
Well, we're not going to talk about. There's no verse in the Quran that tells you about the number of children. So we don't have any proof, the Quranic proof. But basically,
we have flexibility.
what?
We have flexibility instead.
Yes,
Yeah.
we talked last session about the desirability of
Yeah.
having kids. There's no direct verse in the Noble Quran that tells you, "Yeah, have 3, 4, 5." No. But before going to that, comment on Sister Nasreen. Well, as the Noble Quran beautifully puts it, 2 factors, 2 big, great, powerful factors that can make us forget about our destination, about our, like, why have we been created? What is the purpose to life? 2 great factors that make us forget are, as she said, children and property. There are so many verses in the Noble Quran. I just mentioned one for you before, and there's another one in chapter Munafiqun, because, you know, hypocrisy has its root in the love of this world. You pretend that you are a Muslim, you pray. As she said, the format of good action is there, but the spirit is gone because you don't really believe in it, or your belief is so weak that other drives, other factors easily tempt you and take you away.
And it's not intentional. This is an unintentional hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You know, it's
But
not
sometimes-
like it's a weak. It's one that comes from that whisper of shaitan that slowly pushes you. It's not an intentional, so
Yeah.
it's quite.
But you have to conscientize
Popular.
yourself. You have to, you know,
popular.
keep telling yourself that, you know, these are my 2 main deviations that can, you know, take me away from where I want to go. So you keep reminding yourself. You keep remembering
Or
about.
you can read the Quran and
Yes,
connect,
exactly.
keep your connections. Quran, Prophet's family, and all the imams down to 14. And then
Exactly.
you keep on track with everything. I think that's.
Yes, that's so true.
That wouldn't work personally for me. I need the actual behavior to say, okay, I've done it. You know,
Yes.
I feel like I've offered what I had to do,
Yeah.
and it really takes care.
So as she said, a very good way to keep yourself connected to your destination, to keep yourself on the track, is by reciting the Noble Quran every day, as it's a dhikr, and by getting help from the Aimma, by the
Imams.
Pledging allegiance.
purified household of the noble prophet by reciting, one of my teachers, my tafsir teacher, said that whenever I start my day, the very thing that I do in the morning is that I say salam to the imam of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I make myself conscientize that you are there, you are alive, you are my imam. I have started my day, I have a purpose in mind. Your life is purposeful. As she
Exactly.
said, you can recite the Hadith Kisa to remind yourself. There are like the Ziyarat of Ashura, as she said, or there are so many supplications, so many prayers, how to salute the imams, how to address them,
Yeah.
how, the
But there's a
prayers.
main structure for the week. If you
Yeah.
keep to that main structure, then the other things are growth. Like Ziyarat Ali Yasin, the
Jami'
Kabira, the Tawassul, Nudba, and the others are the other Ziyarat. So these, if you keep this formula,
Yes.
you'll always be reminded, because it's like a real connection.
Exactly.
Like they communicate with you because they're not dead. And we have to remember they're not dead and the Imam's not. So we're making our connection. We pledged our allegiance. Okay, so we're in the army.
Exactly.
Yes, you're right.
So a true Shi'i, a true follower of the noble prophet, is a purposeful person, a responsible person. He starts the day, he or she starts the day in that way. And this verse of the noble Quran that says, don't make your kids and your wealth to deviate you from the right path is in chapter Munafiqun, as I was telling you. Verse number 9, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُلْهِكُمْ أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. And whoever does that is, of course, among the losers. As she said, it's so easy, like the everyday evidences in life. Prior to having your child, so many people are endorsed with the idea of, what color is my baby room going to be?
Yes.
What theme?
Yeah.
The Pooh. What the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh. Is it going to be?
What?
Yeah. Is it going to be the Winnie the Pooh? Everything's going to be Winnie the Pooh. Is it going to be like Cinderella theme? Is it a boy? Is it
And
going to be
never
a pink
ends.
theme?
It doesn't end.
It doesn't
Which is
end.
a good school in the area, like, I don't know, Waldorf or Montessori or, this is not. This is the things that carry us away.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
are we remembering, these should be the result of it, no?
Yeah, they enslave you. Actually, this is sort of a slavery. People are getting the slaves of
Absolutely.
materialistic things, like the color or the stuff, and so whatsoever.
And these are the
Yes.
easy things to do, actually,
Yes, you're right.
But the enjoyable, the things that really give you that connection to spiritual motherhood can only be gained through connections, because it's a much deeper connection that you get, If you get lost in this, Winnie the Pooh, and
We actually get
there-
lost
there's
in
this
these Winnie the
exhaustion
Poohs.
that comes out of it.
We actually do get lost in Winnie the Poohs. Everyone, even religious people, they want the best for the kids, so they start planning about, the baby shower thing. Everything is that they want everything to be perfect, matching, all the clothes.
But the meaning or the definition of perfect thing
Yeah,
or perfection is
exactly.
totally different from what Islam or our teachings ask us.
Yeah.
It's
Perfect
totally
would be
different.
9 Qurans, one each month, with a Ziyarah to Ashura to cancel our negatives, and
That's
Tawbah. This would be a perfect kind of, because you get constant guidance. What can you do more? This child comes out, then you've actually created it
Yeah.
with your dua.
That my instance was from just the beginning of the birth of a child. It goes on in the childhood of the child, and then usually the problems of kids getting us deviated from the remembrance of God usually starts when the kids grow older. And they have their own mentality, they have their own worldview. And they're like, Mom, what you're wearing is so humiliating. You know, if you want to come to my prom, don't worry. Like, I don't want you to wear your, you know, your
Yes,
hijab. I
yes.
don't want you, all the moms are, you know, with makeup. They're like, they come out with a nice. I don't want you. I'm ashamed of your appearance.
Yeah.
You know, it happens a lot.
And because the mother is so dependent on the child, loves her or him
Yeah.
so much, she cannot
The
resist
wrong way.
it.
The
In the
wrong
wrong
way.
way, yes,
Yeah,
of course.
but this is also some people, they believe that, you know, when they're young, they say, oh, well, you were so good when you were young. But when you got old and you got with this crowd, well, that's what you made me.
Very good.
You know, the
Yeah.
outside is not what I am. That
I
was
know.
my fear or my, you know, oh, I don't want to have an argument or whatever. But when they become independent, then you see the effect of the
Upbringing.
true effect of the upbringing.
Yeah, but of course, so many factors are involved. The upbringing, as you said, the friends,
no,
the
but
school you
they
sent your
choose their
kids
friends
to,
according to
upbringing.
those behaviors that you've done when that, you know.
Sometimes, there's also the case that your upbringing has been really good, but because of some other factors,
Peer
you-
pressure.
peer pressure, you know, there are like so many numerous factors. Like, you know, Prophet
Why
Noah,
do some people go for peer pressure and others not?
like an instance is Prophet Noah.
It's to do, yeah.
You know, he was a prophet.
It's
What
a
about
little
that?
bit deeper, this issue. It's a bit deeper
Exactly.
than
So
that.
my
You know,
point is
that's
that there's
about-
so many factors that
Yeah.
are involved in child raising, and
Yes, you're
you know,
Islam is, you know, a universal concept and deen, and it doesn't matter. You can have complete control just by your own
not complete
Deen.
control.
control. Yes, it's a control, but it's not
As
control over
Considerable kind of control, not complete
Yeah.
control.
them. No, I'm not talking about verbal
Because
control. I'm talking about
if
control
that
to
was
Allah.
the case, then Prophet Noah, wouldn't have happened with his child. So it's definitely, of course, at the end of the day, you put all your struggles, you put all your endeavors, but at the end of the day, you have to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, considering that those cases that the children are not actually following, maybe it's not permanent, it's temporary. Sometimes they
Yeah, it's a phase in their life.
Yes,
That's
for
true.
one short phase, they
Yeah.
are misguided by someone or
Yeah.
they have deviated. All right, they
They're
will
finding themselves.
finally. I have seen many
Yeah,
people that
that's
they
true.
have come back to the right path again.
That's true.
But for that short, even in time, it is really
Very difficult.
difficult to
And,
tolerate. Yes,
That's true.
Yes,
And just in my previous example, I was telling you about the case that, like, what if we have kids who at some point in their life, they come up with the idea, you know, they want you to do something that is against the Islamic teachings, like, you know,
Yes.
attending their wedding ceremony, which is not Islamic. So what I was going through the different verses, and I found this very helpful. It says it's a general guideline about anyone who turns their face away from Allah. What is your duty towards them? It
That's
says
a good question.
فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْ مَنْ تَوَلَّى عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا. So turn your face away from the one who turns his face away from our
Allah.
remembrance. Of course, with the case of our kids, we can't, like, you know, abandon them
Yeah.
and you know, boycott them 100% and say, okay, that's finished. هذا فراق بيننا وبينكم, and you know, you go your way, I go my way. Of course, I think in that specific case, I mean, these cases happen a lot, like in the West, and so if the parent just refused to attend the wedding, and everyone would be like, yeah, why didn't your parents come? You know,
Yes.
this would be a nice way to bring them back to look. You know, it's again a matter of going after the world and the superficial beauties of the world and sticking to the truth, to the spirit of
yes, because I
religion.
think that short time, like the wedding ceremony or something, it's a
It's gonna
very
pass.
yes, it's an sort of excitement.
Yeah.
You know, but after that, they will miss their parents. They want to go back to them, and they will go back to the right path, inshallah.
Especially if, as Sister Nasreen says, if you've really been a good parent, and your relationship with your child is a very honest, very intimate relationship with your child, then that kind of i'rad, that kind of turning you're turning away from them, it's so heartbreaking for them.
Yes, you're right.
And so eventually they will be, inshallah, guided again.
So are you condoning the questionable behaviors that happen in a marriage? Are you saying we should go because it's just temporary and then they come around eventually? Or are you saying don't go because it was not clear?
I'm not. I made it very clear that we are not with this kind of mentality. That let your kids be with whatever mentality they're comfortable with. No, there is a right way of thinking. There is the fact that a child without hijab who comes to the idea that I want to serve alcohol in my wedding, this is definitely anti-Islamic. It's against the Islamic teachings. So as a way, on the part of the parents to show their disappointment is to do i'rad, for that specific, of course, not complete emotional boycott, because if you want to be influential, you should certainly have your love and your emotions, but for that specific wedding, you should not go.
Yeah, that is why I said they will miss their parents
Exactly.
after this temporary excitement they have, and when they see that their parents are sad with them, okay, they will go back and inshallah on the right path. So, Sister Fatima in the kitchen, we're waiting for you.
Okay, so now we are going to do the filling. This 2 cups of spinach that I already cooked and all of the juice has gone away. We are going to sort of like separate the spinach. And then I also have the juice of 1 freshly squeezed lemon and 1 cup of fresh parsley, but I also added a little bit of coriander to it. So the combination would be actually 1 cup of parsley and coriander. And then sumac, the one that I showed you, about 1 teaspoon. But remember how salty, how acidic you want your filling to be. So sumac is acidic, and also the lemon juice is acidic. We also have about 1/3 or 1/4 cup of good quality olive oil that we are going to add to this filling. So I'm just going to sort of like separate this out, and then we're going to go to the second stage. And then I would also like the camera to show the first part of the dough. The yeast has actually activated and it's bubbled up. So thumbs up for us to go ahead. All right, there we have that. Just gonna wash my hands. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add our onion.
Is that little candle making this water boil?
There's actually 3 inside.
Wow.
So this is our onion and our green onions that we lightly fried, and then I added some turmeric to it and some garlic powder. We didn't have fresh garlic, so I used garlic powder. I'm gonna add that to this spinach.
Is it okay to add like tamarind inside to make it sour, and like if you don't have samak? Or zereshk, how do you say zereshk?
Barberry.
Barberry.
Yeah.
I've
Barberry.
seen
Put that
people
in.
using
Yeah.
barberry
Yeah.
and walnuts inside.
Yeah.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, walnuts.
And
Or sunflower
Tamarind.
seeds.
Sunflower seeds. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Inside.
But some people are allergic to these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, many people.
So 1 cup of chopped parsley and coriander. This is not cooked, this is the raw one. I'm gonna add this. We're gonna add 1 medium tomato that I've actually diced really finely. And remember, if your tomato is really juicy, you sort of want to make sure that you take the seeds out a little, because you don't like, it's really important to not have a juicy sort of batter here. We're gonna add our sumac.
Actually, the Lebanese, they put pine nuts in. Pine nuts is usually used in the fataya.
In the filling?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They put
Pine
it in
nuts
on
are
top.
really, really, really yummy. But unfortunately,
and hard
they're
to get here.
and they're so expensive
Impossible.
as
Big
well.
ones, you mean? Pine nuts?
Pine nuts.
Yeah, yeah, the pine nuts.
In
they come
Farsi,
from
they
the
call
pine.
them chalqus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
so
go.
we're gonna add our
Sunflower
olive
seeds are
oil,
like similar. Sunflower seeds.
and that's it.
Mm.
That's
So
the
yummy.
filling, and it smells so good. And it's
I would eat the filling like that
I
as
know,
a salad.
right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's actually a very good salad, spinach salad.
Mhm.
You know, made like, for example, tabbouleh.
Sometimes of whatever I have, I just put
Yeah.
into one dish and then I mix them, and it turns out to be something cool,
That
at
you can
least
eat.
something nice.
exactly.
I think the balgour that she was saying she had tried in Lebanon.
Yeah, in
If you add balgour to this mixture, it's going to be a nice salad.
That would be a salad.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Salad,
Like
yeah.
a
That would be-
tabbouleh.
She's not making salad. Yeah, no, exactly like a tabbouleh, but a spinach tabbouleh.
So remember that I said this is 2 cups of flour plus the water plus the milk plus the yeast and sugar and salt and all that. This is the remaining 3 cups of flour that I'm just going to add to here. And we are going to again whisk it, but here we're going to sort of get our hands dirty. I'm going to flour my surface and I'm going to start kneading. I could have done this with the bread machine, with the actually stand mixer, but since we've been doing quite a few dough recipes with that, I thought it's unfair to those of you who don't have a stand mixer. So that's it. I'm just going to start massaging it and kneading it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. All right. We'll be back, inshallah, in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Here's Lifestyle.
Whenever you are shopping for food, always check the ingredients of what you are about to purchase. The following ingredients are haram and forbidden to eat or drink, and you should not buy or eat any product that contains them, even if it is a very small amount. Number 1. Pork and anything that has ingredients from pigs in it are forbidden to eat or drink. 2. Alcohol and anything that has alcohol in it, like beer, wine, and even some medicines and mouthwash, may also appear in ingredients as rum, for example in cakes. It is obligatory for a Muslim to leave a gathering where alcohol is being served, and it is forbidden to sit at the same table where there is any kind of alcohol, such as beer and wine. 3. Pepsin, extracted from pigs, usually found in cheese and cheese products. Another common ingredient is gelatin, usually found in marshmallows, candy, and jelly. Lard is another example, usually found in cookies and bakery products such as muffins, donuts, and croissants. Apart from these ingredients, one must make sure that the meat they are eating has been slaughtered Islamically and is from an edible animal. Also, if it is a fish, one must make sure that the fish is permissible to eat.
Welcome back. Here's Lifestyle. Okay, we were talking about childbirth training and the number of children actually, and then we went to the kind of children, like the virtuous one that are called Baqiyatus Salihat, or the other kinds of children that we have. Actually, I said maybe we are going to have a kind of child or children that are resources of diversion. I don't know what to call them, but actually we will go to hear more about that. Sister Razi is going to elaborate more on it. Thank you, sister. Go ahead.
So we said that according to the Noble Quran, it's not the case that, well, the desirability of children have been proven so far. We've talked about it. But it doesn't mean that, okay, now any kind of child, any kind of children would be desirable. No, there are different verses in the Noble Quran that tells us that some of them are actually sources of diversion, and we have to be beware of them. Okay? Worse than that,
Worse than that?
Worse than that. They're
Hellfire fuel?
well,
Yeah, that
you
must
can-
be something worse than,
of
yeah,
course,
source of
worse than
diversion.
that is that they can be the enemies of your faith.
The enemies of your faith are
Yes.
actually our enemies. Our
Exactly.
own enemies. It's not just our
so
faith.
they can be. There's a beautiful verse in the Noble Quran. Let me find in which verse it is. It's actually in verse 14 of chapter Taghabun, and it says that يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدوا لكم. So beware of
You're-
them.
They are your enemies.
Yes, of course. It said there are among your spouses and your children. There are no. It doesn't say all your children or your wealth is your enemy. It says there are cases where from among your wealth, from among your spouses and your children, they are the enemies of your life. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning of Islam, when the noble prophet told some people to migrate from Darul Kufr, some spouses and some children, they prevented their men to actually migrate.
I see.
They would say, "Oh, you're going to leave us alone? What about us? Who's going to provide for
Yes.
us? You're going to leave us alone just like that? You're responsible towards us." They would really try to. They were a big obstacle.
Yeah.
in
And
the-
it's really hard to push yourself in their shoes. Just
Yes.
imagine. Can you imagine for a while, like in this world right now, you're living with your husband and you have your life and house and children, and suddenly your husband's going to leave you.
Yes, that's
Leave you. That's unbelievable. It's really hard. It's a hard
Yeah.
decision. Personally, it's going to be a kind of very hard test.
But
It
we
is a
see in
hard test.
Ashura how the wife of Zuhair ibn Qayn
Yes.
encouraged him,
Exactly.
where
Yes,
he
exactly.
listened to her and he gained his hereafter because of it.
This is good to be in the place of the person who's encouraging him, not stopping. If you try to encourage somebody even against your own will, that would be much easier. What I
Easier?
mean? It would be easier to encourage him. When you think with yourself, you wonder that, okay, he's going to leave me, he's going to do that, I'm going to be alone with all these kids. Don't remember these things. Try to remind yourself of different things, okay? Try to think of the next world. It just popped into my mind right now that if I look at that through the eyes of that wife for Ashura, for example, who encouraged her husband to go and follow Imam, all right? Then I felt sort of tranquility,
Well, the thing is, it's not, the theory is correct.
Yes,
But
it's not
there's
easy.
like a block at that time where you can't shift over to that kind of,
Yes,
attitude.
you're right. Easier
And
said
that
than
is the
done.
whisper of shaitan. So the best thing that you can do, I suppose, is, well, turn to Allah and, get rid of that,
You're right.
And there's a remedy.
shaitan.
Yeah, actually, the remedy, what you're saying, is in continuation of the verse. It says, فَاحْذَرُوهُمْ وَإِنْ تَعْفَوْا وَتَصْفَحُوا وَتَغْفِرُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Because so these Muslims, they actually migrated, and they did not listen to their spouses and their children. They migrated, and then some of these wives and children turned towards Islam. And so it says that God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's Ghafoor, He's forgiving, He's merciful. So you too, be forgiving, be
Yeah.
pardoning, and be patient. So, of course, as we were talking about boycotting or banning our kids at some point, but at the end, it says, Wallahu Ghafurur Rahim. So if, leave some room for them. So if they want to turn back, they would see your mercy, they would see your pardoning.
That's true, because we see situations where, God forbid, and I don't know what kind of test these parents have, where the children become, especially the daughter becomes either pregnant or they go away from home to get married, they elope, or they do it against their, usually because they have been so connected to outside the community and haven't been able, so they obviously are inclined that way. So they leave home, but the parents close the door. And this is what I don't actually personally understand. I understand it because it's the wrong thing to do, as we're saying, in two situations. One is because their motive is the community. What will the community say? So it's better to shut the door than nobody knows, right? But then you're thinking that, well, the community is not perfect. Okay, this happened, but, stand up to it. And as I say, I'm not in that situation but just thinking from logic, not to shut the door, because that opening can open much further,
So true.
You don't know what...
This beautiful verse is actually providing us guideline.
Yes,
So
definitely.
even if you have the case that your children and your spouse is against your faith, and first of all, don't listen to them. Do what your
Allah
Allah
subhanahu
subhanahu wa
wa
ta'ala wants you,
Yes.
or what the Prophet or what the Imams want you to do. But then leave room for
Exactly.
tawbah. Of course, even the worst criminals, there's always room for tawbah and for
Exactly.
repentance. Allah is so forgiving.
But I
and
want to say a
merciful.
word
You're
for the
right.
community too here, because the problem is that, yes, there's parents that really struggle with a lot of situations, even like that, with pregnancy, or, and Allah help those parents. But it really could happen to anybody. And
Yeah.
the problem with our community is the judgmentality of it. You can't judge another family for what they're going through, because straight away Allah's going to give you something too. So please don't be judgmental on these
That's
people
so true.
who have struggled, because it's a test for them, and they might turn up much better than you.
Beautiful.
And God knows what child that can
Mashallah.
turn into as well. Yes, it's a mistake. Yes, it's a sin. But what sins have you got? Maybe you don't even know, and that's even more unfortunate,
Yes.
That's
You're
so,
right.
so
So
beautiful.
I think our community is too judgmental.
So before that, Sister Fatima is waiting because we need to go to the kitchen because she's in the middle of making something.
Because
we don't
we're
want
hungry,
to
right?
miss. No, because she's
Yeah,
in the
sorry.
middle of making something. Yeah, we need to go to see what she's doing right now to show us how to make a dough or massaging it. What do you call it? Yeah,
Kneading it. Yeah, I
yes.
use
Such a
massage.
housewife.
My
Because she said I'm going to do
Massaging
some
it.
massage.
It's like a
Yeah.
luxurious spa for doughs. So this is this is a batch of dough that I brought from home because it needs to rest for 1 hour, or in actually a warm place. It needs to double in size. So it depends on the country you're living, the climate you have, the altitude, the humidity. It needs to double in volume. We don't have the time, so I made this from home and I let it rise overnight. Now, one thing that I really suggest you do is to actually make that whenever you're making dough, to actually leave it to rise overnight, because the flavors actually really combine much better when they rest overnight in the fridge, and they will the process of rising will actually happen slowly. So, for the amount of the dough that I explained to you, you actually get quite a big batter. So I divided that dough into 16 balls. Now 16 balls will give you like a rather large fatayr. If you don't want it so large, you can actually go ahead and divide it into 20 pieces. And one more thing that I wanted to add about dough is that do not pull apart your dough. Do not stretch it, because the gluten inside is actually gonna all get mixed up and messed up. So you want to cut it. Use a knife to cut the dough, all right? Or pinch it off. Don't stretch it like that. So I have my 16 pieces. I have my filling. I added to it salt and pepper, and I thought it needed a little bit more
Garlic. Lemon?
Garlic? Yeah, it needed more acidity, so a little bit more of
I'm always here to bother you about the garlic.
lemon juice. And we have our egg wash, which is the mixture of 1 beaten egg, some milk, and I added some turmeric because it actually gives it a sort of nice yellow color to it. All right, now this, if the top camera can show this, we're going to be using this as our topping. You don't have to use anything as the topping. It's traditionally just made plain, but I like to make it look more colorful. So these are black seeds, and we talked about the benefits. These are cayenne pepper, dried cayenne pepper or chili. And this is safflower. It's not saffron, it's safflower. And I just want to show you the difference between saffron and safflower. So again, I need the camera. So just by smelling it, you will know. I mean, like when I open the lid of this jar, it's like Sister Nasreen said, it's intoxicating, really. And the threads of saffron are way more red and they're drier, okay? So it'll actually fall apart if you touch it. But this one, it's quite what do you call it?
Wet?
No.
Dry?
They're actually quite strong, so they don't really like powder that quickly. So
And also, I want to mention, sorry, about the pepper, the chili, the cayenne, that actually it is a good prevention against MS.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's really important because it's very, very
Getting by-
spreading that disease
spreading these days. Yeah.
and
All right.
debilitating.
So I'm just gonna do a demo of one, and then you guys can go ahead, and then I'll
Yes.
just continue. Yeah. So we are going to flour our surface. I'm going to be using bran instead of flour. This is flour actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Never mind. I actually put bran in there, but then
It's not poison.
yeah. Okay. So we're gonna take one ball, sort of make it round. I love playing with dough. It's so therapeutic.
Massaging the dough.
Kneading it. I don't know why, like the word just
That's
left my
nice.
mind. Slipped
You
my
can
mind.
use it.
What?
Massaging instead of kneading.
All right. You can use the tip of your fingers to spread this, and I'll show you. It's perfectly okay if you don't have a rolling pin, but rolling pins are generally really cheap, and they
can
come
use a
in
bottle.
handy. Or
Glass
a bottle.
yeah, whatever.
Or you know these cling wraps, rolls?
Oh, yeah.
I use those sometimes.
What happened to your rolling pin?
If I'm traveling.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we don't want to make this really thin because we don't want the filling to sort of like make a hole and pierce the bottom. So we're gonna make it the size of a little bigger than your hand. And my hands are quite small, so maybe a little bigger than this.
How thick should the dough be?
Again, like I said, you have to see like how much of the batter you made, but it shouldn't be so thin to tear it. Yeah. So this was with the rolling pin, yeah? I'm gonna do one with my fingers. Say we don't have a rolling pin.
So
we
you
have to-
traveling?
I'm gonna
yeah.
traveling to the moon or Mars or something because you can't find rolling pins. You can just use your fingers. It'll take more time and patience, which neither of which we have, but just to show our dear viewers. Okay, so I think you got the idea of this, yeah? And the little pieces that you see in here, the brown pieces, that's actually bran. And this is a really healthy dough because we always add wheat germ to it and everything, right? Okay, so I am going to start with my dough.
It's really important, you know, if it has, to know that it has wheat germ and bran, it's psychologically more
Healthy?
calming. No, it's psychologically healthier because you know that you're right in the right place with your food.
Yeah.
You're doing what Allah wants you to do with your food and, you know, not getting fat too. That's part of it. But, yeah, psychological effects.
Okay, so I'm going to just take some water and I'm going to sort of like dip my finger and go around it because we want to seal the edges of this sort of fatair and we don't want it to come out, okay? Like the beauty of it is that it's in the form of a triangle. So we're going to use a generous helping of the filling, which smells awesome by the way. And then we have to just make sure that you sort of spread it, yeah? We don't want it like to be in rising in
Can
the
you
middle.
put zucchini inside too?
I think this is a dough that you can even put like
Sweets.
pizza sort of filling inside, cheese,
Cabbage.
anything.
Cabbage.
Once
is-
it's cooked, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course she cooked this one too.
All right, so this part is
Pizza
a little.
cheese. She goes away from the healthy into the pizza cheese.
So
Yeah,
you
but
can
they
add
do.
cheese also, yeah?
Yeah, even cheese.
Yeah.
Labna.
If you want to.
You know the filling we
Actually,
made for
labana is
the
really nice.
filling we made for that noon paneer sabzi, the modern one. I think that would go really nicely in here. So
Yeah, that's true.
give it a try. Okay, so here I have my fatair. It's actually rolled. We're gonna pinch the sides to make sure that it is sealed.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it
mashallah.
is.
And
This is
dry.
This is actually quite a big serving, so
Yeah, it
it's
is.
gonna
It
be
looks like
a,
samosa, right?
Yeah, it does.
yeah, it looks like samosa. So then I'm gonna brush it with my egg wash and then start decorating it.
You were talking about the children, and then we came to some like examples through history. You wanted to mention some people who had gone through this problem, some parents and their children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sister Nasrin beautifully mentioned a case, opposite the spouses and children who are your enemies.
Yes.
As she said, the wife of Zuhair.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what just came to my mind while I was listening to Nasreen was about the wife of Prophet Abraham,
Uh-huh.
how he was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
To
to
leave them in
in
the
a
desert.
barren land
Yeah.
with a child, newborn child. Subhanallah, it's so
It's a hard,
It's a
unbelievable test. I don't know what we can call it. It's sort of a
so
hard
difficult
exam.
that
That is why Prophet Ibrahim is both Imam and Prophet, actually. Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna give the credit to his wife. You know,
Yeah.
he
Yes.
didn't resist. He didn't say, "You're leaving me, a woman, and a newborn child in this desert." You know,
Yeah.
like no logic would accept it. But she, because it was the command of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, she was submissive. This is so beautiful. Inshallah, we can reach this level of satisfaction from Allah and submission to His decrees that you wouldn't, it's not like 2 plus 2. We were having this discussion with
It's
Sister
4.
Roya the other day. It's not like always 2 plus 2 is 4.
Four.
Sometimes other variables are there.
Yes.
And as we were talking before in the break time, there's a beautiful verse in the Quran that says, whoever has taqwa, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ فَيَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, show
Open
you the
a
way,
way,
open a way
yeah.
for you. And then He will provide for you either material sustenance or spiritual sustenance from somewhere that you do
Cannot
not
even conceive of it.
imagine.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when Hajar
Talaq, yeah.
when Hajar did that, I mean, the fountain of Zamzam was
Zamzam.
open and it's still there for us. It's so amazing. So,
And by the way, for our viewers, that verse is a very good one to do for sustenance. Verse, is it 2?
Yes.
2 of Surah Talaq.
yeah,
So
For
that-
any kind
that
of
is recommended.
sustenance.
Yeah, 2, 3.
yeah. My aunt
both.
my aunt was saying it's not always material sustenance. She said she's a lecturer too. She said whenever in the morning when I wake up, in order to pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me good knowledge, good information. Sometimes she said, I just open my telegram and some really good information I gain. So she says, I recite that verse every day and subhanallah, Allah helps me with the different kind of sustenance that you have in mind.
Yeah, it does feel more rewarding too when you get something that you're pondering over and suddenly that opens up. Like Imam Ali said, knowledge is wealth.
Yes.
So
So these
Knowledge
are,
is power. Yeah.
both.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
all
power.
these little things in life, the realities in life that we usually forget. In the heart of the problems and challenges of life, we forget. We get too immersed, But knowing this, these are like something that keeps your heart really warm.
Yes, you're right.
They're so
definitely.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So another instance from the history is about Zuhair.
Mm-hmm.
Zuhair was one of the very
Sahaba.
a very close Sahaba of the
Yeah.
noble prophet, so close that Imam Ali said that Zuhair minna Ahlul Bayt.
Exactly.
He's among one of us, the Ahlul Bayt. So imagine what a high spiritual status he had in the
yeah.
eyes of the Prophet and the Imams. But God gave Zuhair 20 children,
MashaAllah.
Mashallah.
20 children.
11 sons, and 9 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And among these sons was Abdullah. That as he grew up, actually, he became a source of deviation for his father.
Yeah, his father was Zubair or Zuhair?
Zubair.
Zubair,
Talhan
yes. I
Zubair.
heard, yeah, Zubair.
Sorry
yeah.
if I mispronounced it.
Yes,
Zubair.
yes, Zubair,
Yeah,
you're
sorry.
right, yes.
So, in the war of Jamal, the war of Camel, when Zubair was facing the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam, at one point, Imam Ali alayhi salam sent a messenger to some people that he thought, that Imam Ali thought there were still some channels or windows, left open in their
open in
eyes,
their
that he could
hearts.
tackle them and they
Yes.
would come back.
Yes.
And Zubair was one of them. There was still hope in him. So he got convinced by Imam Ali's words, and
Left the war.
as he was leaving the war, his son said, "Dad, what are you doing? You prepared all this, scene. You prepared all this armies. You prepared this war, and then now you got scared by seeing Ali and the flag of war in the hands of the commanders." So he was, trying to persuade his dad to continue. It's okay to continue with the war. So I'm saying that one instance of this beautiful verse could be Abdullah ibn Zubayr.
Yes, you're right. All right, let's go to the next question.
Mhm.
That among all these having different children, or the number of children and so on, some people prefer, by today's standards, actually, they say even one child is more than enough. All right. So why do you prefer to have just one child?
Okay.
If it's really great and desirable, and children means happiness and wealth and so on, let's say good child, okay? Why do they prefer to have just one child,
Very good
or
question.
two at most?
Okay, so statistically talking, in the United States, for example, they estimated that a child, you need to spend $300,000 for a child from the time that he or she is born until the time that he goes to college. Just right at the time that he's 17, or she or he is
Wow,
17.
that's a lot.
So $30,000.
Really, I thought it was more.
No, $30,000 is a lot of money. And because of this, because of actually the financial fluctuation, in the world, you're really not certain of your financial status, and so much money you have to spend, it's too much for a lot of parents to handle. So they would just say, okay, we just want to have kids, to just taste having kids, and then, that's it.
So you mean that they are more selfish, that they just want to have the taste of having children?
Yeah, it's their view to life. It's also the view of some Muslims too, that they think that they calculate 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
But we provided beautiful verses in the Noble Quran that says that the sustenance of your child, it says, do not kill your children out of fear of poverty. Allah says, I will guarantee the sustenance of that child. Now, when you don't have such a otherworldly view, when you don't have such a mentality, then everything is 2 + 2 is 4. You say, I earn this much a year, my husband earns this much a year, so I'm getting a car, we have mortgaged the house, we're spending this much for the bills, and you calculate everything and say, no, well, sorry,
Yeah,
no
that's
kids.
it. Yeah.
And isn't that verse actually in Surah Araf?
Araf?
Yeah, I think that verse might be in Araf, I'm not 100%, which tells you something, because that is the heights, right? That is like to completely submit all your sustenance to Allah, to not worry in these situations, like when your children. It just came to me when you mentioned that, and I remember reading it just yesterday. That it's the height of a submission, to just completely submit, taslimat,
Yes,
surrender.
you're right.
That's
So,
so-
would you please, Sister Nasrin, go on with your Ahkam part? If
Uh-huh.
you have the questions, yes,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. So Ahkam time. There is one that is rare, but still probably it's something that takes place because the question has come, and it is a situation that people have faced, unfortunately. But the question we're asking today of our expert is, if a couple has gotten married, whether they have asked beforehand or not about, whether the woman who is a convert or not yet a convert, she's from people of the book, or, well, let's presume people of the book, Christians or Jew, and they get married, and she hasn't actually, we're looking at the woman now because the man is a little bit more obvious. She doesn't actually do her shahada and become a Muslim, but they get married. What will become of, what kind of a marriage is that? Is that an acceptable marriage? Is it void? And what of the children that come out of that marriage? Because this is quite it's unfortunate. Some people don't know. Some people ask and are guided wrong. So we'd like to know the truth, and we'd like to know also what does that couple do actually afterwards, because it was out of ignorance, they didn't know, and maybe they tried to find out. So that's the thing. So we're asking of our expert, and we're going to listen right now.
Salam, in the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful. Is it allowed for a Muslim man to marry another woman from other religions before converting to Islam? Well, no, it's not allowed. If you are a Muslim, you should marry another woman which is the same religion as you. But after converting to Islam, yes, it is okay. The second question, which is more important, the follow-up to this one, is that what if the consequence, the result of this kind of marriage is a child? What about that child? And what about the parents that have done this out of ignorance? What about them? Well, if the parents have done this out of ignorance, if they didn't know that this kind of marriage is not shari'i, it's not legal. If they didn't know, then the child is legitimate. But if they knew, like the mother or the father knew that we cannot get married, but still they did, so the child now in this case actually is illegitimate. And if one of them, like the mother knew, the father didn't, or the father knew, the mother didn't, then the burden is on the person who knew that this kind of marriage is not legal, and the consequences will come afterwards. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Here's lifestyle. Before going to the kitchen, I should say sorry because I have got a cold and I've been coughing during these days. I am really sorry. So let's go to the kitchen with Sister Fatima, please.
Okay, so I actually, filled the dough with the spinach filling, and I showed you have to make sure that the edges and the corners are all pinched very well and they're sealed, because you don't want the juice oozing out. And I'm applying the egg wash now, and I'm going to be doing like sort of different kinds of dressing. And my oven is actually preheated to 200 degrees, and it's really, really hot. So it's going to need about 12 minutes in the oven. And if you think that the tops like need a little bit more, you
That's
can,
pretty good. 12 minutes is not too much.
because the filling is cooked. We just need the dough to cook, right?
Yeah, it's just baking
That's
bread.
it. Yeah.
That's it, yeah. All right, so, and I'm also going to be doing like one open fatair. So like if those of you who are uncomfortable with like sort of doing this, even though I showed you, it's very easy. So this safflower, I'm just using it for sake of beauty. That's it. If you don't have it, leave it out. You don't even
But
have
it's
to.
healthy, so why would you leave it out, right?
You don't even
What
have
about
to use.
black seeds? I
Yeah,
love
you
can't leave them
Yeah,
out.
Me
black
too.
seeds are really great. They smell
Yeah.
great and they taste good. I like it personally. And there are plenty of great things in
Benefits.
black seed
Benefits, yeah.
nutrition. Yeah.
And it's warm in nature.
And it's warm in nature, yeah.
And
So,
it's,
These
sorry,
ones.
can I just
Yeah.
add
Yeah,
that
we can
since you
give a
said the
lecture
black-
on
No,
that.
no lecture. You can actually use the mortar and pestle and grind it, or a coffee grinder, mix it with honey and eat it like that. Some people don't know,
The black
you
seed?
know, the black seeds. Some eat it with
Yeah.
honey, some eat it with rogan zaytun, the olive oil.
Olive oil.
But it was just, I wanted to add that that is a way we can eat it too.
So this is going to go inside the oven. And like I said, it's going to bake for about 12 to 15 minutes. No,
How much? Sorry, I didn't.
12 to 15 minutes.
12.
So this is my other dough. This is actually 2 of these bowls that I've sort of like kneaded together, and I've spread it. So I'm going to put my filling here.
Oh, it's 2 each. 2 each?
It's like double the amount of the
Okay.
triangle one, right? Because we want it to be sort of long. And I like the serving of these better because they look more classy, in my humble opinion.
You're the expert.
All right, we're gonna put this, and then on the other one. This one's actually really easy because nothing's like, there's no danger in it. Not that there isn't that one, but I mean, like, you don't have to worry about it.
The runny.
Yeah, sort of like opening in the middle and stuff.
And you can pause so much spinach on this way too.
Definitely,
I
yes.
think.
Yeah, and it's not that time consuming.
So we are going to start by pinching the edges like this. Okay, this edge.
Boats.
Yeah.
both.
Spinach boats.
Oats, yeah. And
That's
then we're
great.
just gonna like sort of fold it like so and like so.
Oh, I thought you were leaving it open.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it. I
you-
told you it's not that
okay.
time consuming. And
Yeah.
I go for that. Honestly,
This looks
quicker.
to me harder.
Does it?
Yeah, because to keep that thing up,
the shape.
The
in
edges.
yeah, in just a little bit of space.
I will teach you, okay? Don't worry.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. That's it. We're done.
When you
So
cook,
when we come back, inshallah, we are going to
They
be
look
serving
great,
some
yeah.
hot
Inshallah.
fataya.
Thank
This
you.
one is
sister.
really nice with cheese.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yes,
don't
yeah.
teach Razia that she's gonna put cheese on top.
No,
cheese and
really?
walnuts. I would
Cheese
do
and
that.
walnuts.
Cheese,
Oh my
herbs, and
God.
walnuts.
Yeah, and black
Definitely.
seeds on top.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
would be
that's
so nice.
great.
Even Lebanese cheese, it's so healthy, full of calcium.
Yeah, Lebanese
Some
cheese
Lebanese
is
cheese.
good, yeah.
Actually, after cooking it, when you take it out of the oven, you can put the Lebanese cheese and you can, pipe Lebanese cheese like that.
Oh, I
Yes,
see.
It's gonna be nice, like how she did it for Noom
Yeah, I
Paneer.
think
Exactly.
you need to
I go
step
for the
over.
classics life.
Thank you. All right, Sister Fatima, it's done. The
Yep,
kitchen's
yep.
okay. So let's go back to the discussion. And the children, the benefits, pros and cons of having one child. You were talking about the
The reason why.
parents, the reason the parents wanted to have just only one child. One of them was because of the financial problems, maybe, or the belief, the common one that say 2 + 2 = 4.
The misconception.
Misconception,
Yeah.
actually, yes.
That's true. Also, looking around your life, looking around your friends, relatives, you can see that so many people are delaying marriages.
Yes.
So, as a result, when you get married late,
Less children,
less
fewer children,
fewer
yeah.
children. And then once you're married, you delay your marriage.
Yeah.
We're not ready, we're getting to know each other better. So you're like 35, you get married until like 40, you delay it. Then
Yeah.
the productivity of your body has,
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So
It's critical,
voila,
actually.
you have only
it is
one
critical,
child
yes.
if you do a miracle. So
Or twins, triplets, quadruplets.
There are some couples that are going for twins or triplets.
And going
yeah.
for means it's possible to actually.
Genetically.
S-
Yeah,
Yeah,
genetically do that. Yes.
So then,
But
there's no
imagine-
argument. There's no excuse.
Yes.
But imagine twins and triplets.
No,
They're
it's very-
so
I know.
difficult.
Yes.
Very, very hard. Most
it's
mothers
really
cry in the
difficult.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So the pros and cons. What's I mean, scientifically speaking, there a lot of research has been done on only children and families with siblings. There was this myth. They say when you type only child, this you will definitely see these articles that actually. It was interesting that as I was going through the different sites, I wanted to get to know about the scientific facts. I found out that so many of the research articles and so many of the non-research articles, like other articles, were like pro one child only families. Yeah, because of people are these days they're so individualistic.
I expected that.
Yeah. And like if you go to year 1970, like maybe 30-something% of parents had only one child, but in the year 2011, like 40-something% have only one child. And probably by this trend, as we're moving along, maybe in the next decade, like maybe even more, maybe half couples would only prefer to have only one child.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
of, again, our view, our outlook to life, the objectives we have to life. It's us, my career, my education, my life, my car,
my body.
my body.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, it's what it is the educators have become uneducated. Because the real education is the correct view of life. So we're throwing everything away actually for this very narrow outlook, which doesn't give satisfaction at the end of it. And we're throwing the actual education away that teaches us what is best for us and how to live, the happiest, which is not one child, not happy for the family, not happy for the child either.
Yeah, it's because, in the non-Islamic viewpoint, everything revolves around the human and the individual.
Yes.
Everything revolves around your interest as an individual. My body, my what, But in the Islamic perspective, the family is considered as one of the most important institutes in the religion of Islam. There's a beautiful hadith from the noble prophet that says, there is no institution worthier, more lovable, more cherished in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than family and marriage.
Because everything stems from that.
Exactly.
It is the center core of the society. So when you're taking that away slowly, then what's left really?
Yes,
Exactly.
you're right. And the other side, we can say that psychologically speaking, being an only child needs a kind of special training, I guess, because on the other, otherwise the child would be really spoiled,
And bored.
and bored.
And it
That's so
takes
true.
much more time. I found, at least, because my oldest was 8 years alone. Takes much more energy, much more effort, much more
Attention.
nerves. Yeah, to have one child than to have two.
You're a very good example to give us your points, because you have, mashallah, 3 children now.
Yeah.
And for 8 years, you only had one.
Yeah.
And the points that you're saying are exactly, the points that other moms also complain about. Because, like, I have a 5-year-old daughter. She wants all my attention to herself. Unfortunately, she does not have any siblings. So I have this problem of only children myself. So, she's like, Mom, play with me. Mom,
Yeah, it's
read to
very,
me.
very
Mom, do
hard.
this with
It's
me.
very
Mom,
hard.
I'm all, I'm everything to her.
Yes, you're right.
So it
But
takes
I
so much
think
on
what
me.
parents do then, they end up putting their children into many different functions,
Yeah.
in order to I suppose, have some sanity. I didn't do that, but it is deceptively harder than to have two children. I
So-
found personally,
It's harder to have two kids.
it's harder to have one than to have two.
So
one harder
Yeah.
than two.
Oh, one is
Yeah,
harder
one
than
is
the other
harder
two.
than two.
Because there's
That's
sort
it,
of this-
exactly.
There's this emotional part of the child, this nurturing part actually that comes out and that is filled. You know, there's an emotional sort of feeding that goes on when the second sibling comes, you know, between the two of them. So, I don't know, I would
Yeah.
personally not recommend one child.
Yeah, personally, and with my friends, the other one who has 3 kids, all right, the older one was a great right hand man to her
His mom.
Yeah, exactly. To
You
his
know,
mom.
when you're mentioning this, so there's one sister in who had, I think, 10 children, and people asked her, and I think the news went to ask her also, the TV, that, you know, how did you bring up these children? She said, I brought up the first one right.
yes, yes,
And,
So
you know,
true.
that's really something, you know?
yes.
So, you
you're
know,
right.
Do we have time?
Just 1 minute, not more than
So I
1
didn't mean
minute.
to cut you off, it was just
No,
related. when
actually,
you-
Yes.
you have a practical experience.
Yeah.
You can say it so much more beautiful than I can. So thank you very much for adding to our discussion. But usually, only children, all the love, attention of the parents is with the child. And because of, well, you cannot deny the fact that because you're putting all your energy, all your time, all your attention, all your efforts on one child, usually on tests, test scores of achievement test and IQ test, intelligence and achievement tests are usually higher for only children, you know, because of all this extra effort that you're putting into. So there's this one good, positive thing about having only one child, but the negatives, they outweigh the positive.
Could I add a point to that?
Sure.
I found that my only child actually went up as he had brothers.
Mm-hmm.
His actual success in school and, you know, in life, he felt more responsible.
Really?
Yeah. So, and like a leader, you know.
Yes.
So even that is not a good reason because, you know, it can be counteracted.
You know, well, this was scientific proof. You know, from one case to another,
no,
the
but
story
I'm
can be
yeah.
different.
No, I'm not denying. I'm just saying that if someone wants that as a reason, it's still not
Yeah,
enough
'cause you're
because
pointing-
it can change.
Yeah.
You can adapt it so that child, that oldest child, can become even more productive
Yeah,
with siblings.
it's true. It's possible. One very, a very serious drawback, you know, a disadvantage of having an only child is what the child will miss because of not having siblings. Okay, and these siblings, as Sister Nasreen is saying, they are giving you, they're providing you different backgrounds, different chances, different opportunities to experience social interactions.
I see.
So kids with siblings, they get to, you know, they get to fight, they get to be challenged,
Yeah.
or they, you know, you hit your sibling, you get, you know, his toys. So you need to learn to
Cope with,
cope with
yeah.
all these
They
challenges.
seem more fulfilled.
Exactly.
From what
Yeah.
I've seen about, you know, only children and those who had siblings, those only children always seemed like there was something missing. When you look at their expressions, you look at their behavior, you know, like there's a loneliness there.
Yes,
And-
this is a fact
Yeah.
that only children are usually, they say it in a positive way. They say they are very good being alone. You know, if they're alone, they don't have problem.
Yeah, this is
Can
a
they say
danger.
something good?
They consider that something good.
Oh, that's
because
good.
So many
It's a
times.
danger. I consider it as
Yeah.
a danger.
Yeah, but
Especially with the social media today.
Yeah, but you know what? The point that they're trying to make is that they say in adolescence, where there's a lot of peer pressure and sometimes you're left out, this feeling of lonely, being okay with, you know, with being lonely, this can help you at that stage. You know, these are all ways to prove, you know,
Yeah,
to
they justify in
Justify
different
that
way.
it's
Yeah.
really
Have
good
a
to have
strong
only
child
one
who won't
child.
feel that peer pressure, you know?
No, but at school, for example.
Yeah, at school.
Yeah,
Where are
when
you going to be tested at school?
there's a lot of peer pressure, especially in adolescence. And if your siblings are not there, you're all alone.
I know, but if you bring up a strong child, you bring up a child to know that be unique, be
Oh.
original.
Yeah.
We
That
are
shouldn't-
running out
I don't
of
know,
time
I never
little by
found peer
little.
pressure as
Sisters,
a
yeah, we're
issue.
running out of time actually. Sister Fatima, is Fatayr ready?
Wow.
Really good.
Can
So
we go
that's it. I
close?
guess I'm just gonna set it up and then we're gonna start eating it. I hope that you enjoy our programs and you watch them, you make our recipes, our healthy version of recipes, along with the Islamic tips that we share with you. And we are using a lot of very special ingredients in our shows, which may not be easily accessible in the West. That's why we have thought about making it available to all of you brothers and sisters through a website called Basalam, Basalam, and they ship worldwide. So wherever in the world it is that you are living, we are going to ship our highest quality of ingredients to your doorstep. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Lifestyle.
Actually, it was for today. Thanks for being with us. I hope that you will enjoy your life. You will get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I hope that our program, our show is going to be sort of something helpful or providing some tips to
And
get
encouragement
closer.
to have more.
Yes, of course. And I hope that we encourage you to have more children, to spread the name of Allah on the earth. Thanks for being with us. Here's Lifestyle. Goodbye. Fi aman Allah.
O he remembering, whom brings honor to those who remember. O he thanking, whom brings triumph to those who give thanks. O he obeying, whom brings deliverance to those who obey. Bless Muhammad and his household, and divert our hearts through remembering thee from every act of remembrance, our tongues through thanking thee from every act of thanksgiving, our limbs through obeying thee from every act of obedience. If thou hast ordained for us idleness from these occupations, make it an idleness of safety, within which no ill consequence visits us, or weariness overtakes us. Then deriders of evil deeds may depart from us with a page empty of the mention of our evil deeds, and the writers of good deeds may turn away from us, happy with the good deeds of ours which they have written. And when the days of our life have passed by, the terms of our lifetimes have elapsed, and thy call which must come and be answered summons us forth, then bless Muhammad and his household, and make the outcome of what the writers of our works count against us an accepted repentance, which afterwards gave us no rest in a sin that we committed or an act of disobedience that we performed. Remove not from us any covering with which thou hast covered over the heads of the witnesses on the day when the records of thy servants are tried. Verily, thou art compassionate to him who supplicates thee, the responder to him who calls upon thee.